Have you ever been caught off guard, suddenly accused of something you didn't do, and in that moment it feels like the ground beneath you shifts? Imagine this. You're moving through life, doing your best, striving to grow, to treat others with kindness, to become the truest version of yourself. Then, without a hint of warning, someone throws blame your way, blame you didn't earn. Your heart starts racing, your mind whirls in confusion, and before long, you're questioning your reality, and even yourself. Does that strike a chord? If it does, stay with me, because what you're about to uncover might change your perspective forever. Carl Jung, one of the most influential voices in the study of the soul, discovered something extraordinary, something that resides deep within you. A force, unseen but powerful, a truth so compelling that once you grasp it, you'll never perceive yourself, or the people around you, the same way again. Jung believed that you have within you the sovereign ability to choose who is worthy of your attention, your energy, your emotional investment. And when someone wrongly places blame on your shoulders, Jung would see that as one of the clearest signals that this person doesn't deserve to be in your space. So let me ask you this, sincerely, how many times have you held on to guilt that wasn't yours to carry? How many nights have you stayed awake, looping through conversations, replaying words that left you feeling diminished, unworthy, broken even? If this resonates, you're not alone. We've all walked through that valley. But here's the truth, you don't have to stay there. Jung taught that the human psyche is not built to shoulder burdens that don't belong to it. That vibrant, sacred energy that makes you uniquely you was never meant to be depleted by those who can't or won't recognize your value. And right now, together, we can start dismantling the invisible chains that have held you back. We're not just shifting how you deal with others, we're reframing how you understand yourself. Take a moment to really reflect on this. Carl Jung wasn't just a psychologist, he was a spiritual cartographer, mapping the unseen terrain of the soul. He believed that within each individual lives an entire cosmos, a symbolic emotional world constantly trying to communicate with us, even when we're not paying attention. But how does that inner world speak? Not in words or logical arguments, but in whispers, in dreams, in gut instincts that defy reason. Ever met someone who seemed perfect on paper, charming, magnetic, full of potential, but something within you murmured, something's not right? That voice, that intuition, wasn't paranoia. It was your soul, your unconscious mind, alerting you. Let's say you're in a relationship with a friend, a partner, a sibling, and things seem steady. Then suddenly, one day they throw blame at you. You're accused of being selfish, of not doing enough, of being the cause of everything that's gone wrong. And even though you know, deep down, it's not true, there's a small, anxious voice inside that wonders, but what if they're right? What if I am the problem? That hesitation, that inner crack in your certainty. That's where Jung's insights become indispensable. He'd say that doubt isn't random, it's a direct message from the unconscious, a warning, a flare in the dark, telling you, this guilt isn't yours. Let's take a pause, inhale, feel that knot in your chest, that pressure, that ache that shows up when someone wrongfully points the finger at you. That's not weakness, it's a message. Jung insisted that emotions, even the difficult ones, are tools. They're the language of the soul. So when someone diminishes you, makes you feel like you're not enough, that sensation isn't just discomfort, it's a call to investigate deeper. Why are you giving someone else the authority to determine your worth? Why are you allowing them to decide your story? Let's explore something critical in Jung's philosophy, the concept of the shadow. The shadow is the part of you you've hidden, the fears you've silenced, the aspects of yourself that don't fit the image you want the world to see. We all have one. And here's the twist. When someone blames you unfairly, they often hit your shadow, whether they know it or not. Imagine someone harshly telling you, you mess up everything. Outwardly, you may lash out or defend yourself, but inwardly, a small tremulous voice whispers, what if they're right? That voice isn't theirs, it's yours. It comes from the parts of yourself you haven't embraced yet. But don't panic. Don't try to silence it. Jung wanted us to know the shadow isn't your enemy. In fact, it's one of your greatest sources of strength, if you learn to work with it. When someone criticizes you unjustly, it's not just an attack, it's an opportunity. Yes, you heard that right. An opening. That's your moment to turn inward and ask, what part of me still needs healing, compassion, recognition? Because when you face your shadow, when you embrace the pieces you've denied, a transformation begins. You stop relying on others to tell you who you are. Now, think about the people in your life. I'm willing to bet there's someone whose face popped into your mind just now. Someone who always has something negative to say. Someone who makes you feel small, who never seems satisfied with who you are or what you give. Someone who subtly, or not so subtly, makes you question your worth. Have you ever asked yourself why their opinion holds so much weight? Jung would tell you this isn't accidental. He believed that the people who appear in our lives, especially those who provoke us, aren't just random characters, they're mirrors. They reflect aspects of our psyche, often the unhealed ones. When someone blames you for something outside your control, when they label you unfairly, what they're often doing, without realizing it, is projecting. They're throwing the contents of their own unconscious onto you. Their insecurities, their guilt, their unresolved trauma. You become the canvas for their inner chaos. But here's what you need to remember. Just because someone hands you their emotional baggage doesn't mean you have to carry it. Imagine you're standing before a clear, still lake. The surface is so calm, you can see your reflection perfectly. Then someone tosses a stone into the water. Ripples distort the image. Blur it until you can't recognize yourself. That's what happens when someone unfairly blames you. Their words, their energy, break your inner stillness. But the lake doesn't stay disturbed forever. With time, the ripples fade, the reflection returns. And so does your clarity, if you let it. You don't have to passively wait for peace. You can choose it. You can reclaim your sense of self by remembering that not every judgment is a truth. Not every accusation is yours to absorb. Take a breath with me. Close your eyes if you need to. Say this to yourself. My energy is sacred. That's not just a feel-good affirmation. It's a boundary. It's a declaration that your emotional landscape is not open terrain for others to trample. Jung saw the psyche like a garden, something that needs tending, protection, boundaries. If you let anyone wander through without care, they'll destroy what you've cultivated. But if you safeguard it, nourish it, say no to those who bring weeds instead of growth, your inner world will thrive. And here's the magic. When you create that space, the right people begin to arrive. People who see your worth without you having to prove it, who support you, not sabotage you, who lift you higher instead of dragging you down. So let me ask you something, and I want you to answer honestly, but quietly, to yourself. Who in your life is draining your energy through blame? Who makes you feel confused, unworthy, or constantly responsible for things you didn't do? Feel that answer rise. Don't resist it. Don't push it away, because that truth is already living in your unconscious. It knows, and now you know too. Letting go of that person isn't weakness, it's strength. It's an act of radical self-respect, of choosing your peace over someone else's projection. Picture this. You exhale deeply, imagining the weight you've been carrying sliding off your shoulders. With every breath, the heaviness fades. That right there, that feeling, is what Jung was pointing us toward. A return to wholeness, a return to truth. Because not everyone is meant to stay in your life. Some people show up as lessons, not companions. They're there to highlight what needs to change, not to walk with you forever. And that's okay. Letting go isn't about hate, it's about love. Love for the version of you that's been buried under false guilt. Love for the future you that's waiting to breathe freely again. Now let's go deeper. When someone unfairly blames you, they're not just shaking your peace, they're threatening your identity. Jung saw authenticity as the cornerstone of mental and emotional health. And every time you bend to fit someone else's narrative, you move further away from your own. So what does it mean to stay authentic when the world, or someone close, keeps trying to define you? It means listening to your intuition, especially when it whispers, "This doesn't feel right." It means recognizing when you've started to shrink, to edit yourself, just to avoid confrontation or disapproval. And it means honoring the parts of yourself that you've silenced. Every time you change who you are to be more acceptable to someone else, you lose a piece of yourself, and eventually you look in the mirror and see a stranger. Jung would ask, is that really who you want to become? Let's dive into relationships, because this is where Jung's teachings become especially illuminating. When someone blames you unjustly, it's rarely about you. What's really happening is projection. Jung explained that people often cast their unresolved pain, fear, or shame onto others, especially those closest to them. So when you're made the scapegoat, it's usually because you've touched something raw inside them, something they haven't dealt with. It's not your guilt, it's their shadow screaming. Picture this. Someone tells you, "You ruined everything," or "You're the reason I'm unhappy." On the surface, it feels personal. But step back. Take a wider view. Through Jung's lens, you'll see that what they're really doing is avoiding their own reflection. You just happen to be the mirror. Now here's a crucial truth. You are not responsible for healing everyone who crosses your path. You are not obligated to carry the weight of someone else's unresolved wounds. You're not their therapist, their savior, or their emotional sponge. What you are is sovereign, whole, deserving of peace. So what's your job when projection happens? It's not to fix them, it's to recognize the pattern, see it for what it is, and decide, does this relationship nurture me or drain me? And if the answer is the latter, you don't walk away in anger, you walk away in love. Love for yourself, love for your growth, love for the future you deserve. Because here's the truth, Jung's work wasn't about diagnosing others, it was about deepening self-awareness. The real question isn't why are they treating me this way? The real question is, why am I allowing it? Maybe it's because you're afraid of being seen as selfish. Maybe you've been conditioned to believe that love means tolerating mistreatment. Maybe somewhere along the line, you learned that keeping the peace is more important than keeping your soul intact. But that's not love, that's survival. And Jung wanted more for you than mere survival. Now, let me tell you a short story. Imagine a woman named Anna. Anna had a friend, who always made her feel at fault. If he forgot something, it was Anna's responsibility. If he had a bad day, Anna was to blame. At first she thought, maybe I really did mess up. But over time, her spirit dimmed. She stopped laughing. She stopped dreaming. She began to disappear. Then one day, Anna stumbled across Jung's work. She read about projection, the shadow, the power of reclaiming your energy, and it clicked. She wasn't the problem. She was the screen for someone else's unresolved story. So she made a choice, not out of hate, but out of clarity. She let that friend go. It wasn't easy. There were tears, there was guilt, there was fear. But something beautiful happened. Her energy returned. Her smile came back. And new people, people who truly saw her, began to enter her life. Why? Because when you clear space, your soul starts to attract what aligns with your truth. Jung called this individuation, the process of becoming fully yourself. It's not about pleasing others. It's not about fitting in. It's about shedding what isn't real, so that what is can finally emerge. So ask yourself again, who in your life is asking you to carry guilt that isn't yours? Maybe it's someone close. Maybe it's someone you love. That makes it harder, doesn't it? Self-love doesn't mean tolerating emotional theft. It means honoring your own spirit enough to say, no more. Let's try something now. Visualize that person standing in front of you. They're blaming you. Again, and instead of defending yourself or apologizing, you take a breath. You look them in the eye, and inside you say, this is not mine. Feel that. That's power. That's freedom. Your energy wasn't made to be consumed by chaos. It was meant to fuel your creativity, your joy, your purpose. Now let's talk about the heart of it all, self-love. Because everything we've explored leads here. When you absorb blame that isn't yours, you're telling your unconscious that you're not worthy of peace, that you deserve the pain. But when you reject false guilt, when you stand in your truth and say, no, this is not mine, you're sending a new message. I love myself enough to protect my soul. And when that happens, everything shifts. Your energy recalibrates. You stop attracting emotional parasites and start drawing in people who mirror your strength, your integrity, your light. You begin to glow differently, and those who used to dim your shine, they quietly fade away. It's not magic, it's resonance. Jung called this synchronicity. When your inner truth aligns with your outer life, the universe responds. You find yourself in the right places, with the right people, at the right time. But for that alignment to occur, you must first release what no longer belongs.